Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, on this episode of the Bullet Points this morning, it's going to get touchy. I'm going to be quite honest with you. We are about to dive into something that is a little bit sensitive. The media is all ablaze around the most gun deaths that's ever occurred. That's all you're going to see. Politico, USA Today, The Hill, AP. It's all angling towards more guns in the population equate to more deaths in the population. The only problem with that, and the slight issue, is the data does not represent an equal distribution of death per firearm increase. That's the important part. We are about to tear this thing asunder, and this is one you're going to want to send out. Everything is linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. Now, as we dive into this, if you are new, if you're returning, if you love the videos, we are always looking to add you to the subscription. We're always trying to get as many people as we can to further the Second Amendment, further the channel, and really encourage the Second Amendment in the next generation. If you think that we earn that subscription, we'd love to have you, and if not, hopefully we'll earn it on the next one. But now, my brothers and sisters, like I said, everything is linked, including the original research paper that they are referencing here across the media. This is going to be something that's going to be sensitive. There's some data in here which is not fun to read, but it's something that we have to adjust to. My own personal disclaimer, I don't care what race you are, don't care what you look like, don't care about your sexual orientation, I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is the Second Amendment being passed on to the next generation because it is a blessing of freedom that we have in this country for every single American. And with that said, let's dive in because this reeks of manipulation because they're not showing you things, and that irks me. Over 1 million people in the U.S. have been killed by firearms over the past 30 years, data shows. This is from The Hill. Okay, so this is one of the articles. I'm going to reference another one, but I want to show you a few points to set this up, and then I'm going to show you the actual data. Gun-related deaths in the United States are the highest they have ever been in nearly 30 years, new research shows. The findings of a new study published in JAMA Network Open on Tuesday show that 1,110,421 people have been killed both intentionally and accidentally by firearms between 1990 and 2021, a 31-year period. Again, the whole thing is linked if you want to dive deeper. They've accounted for suicides and homicides. Again, this stuff's not fun to talk about, but we have to address it. The distribution is around 60 to 40 to 55 to 45% homicide to suicide in this country, just so you guys know as we go forward. But let me show you something that where they're pulling the data from, then I'll show you what I really caught my eye. Researchers looked at data from the U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention to map out where the country's gun deaths were taking place and where it was being impacted. They used the data to create a series of heat maps that show the location of firearm deaths has evolved over time, and that's what I'm going to show you is these heat maps. Please watch this whole video because this is telling. Now, this is the first thing that caught my eye. The Hill is the first one I'm going to read to you. Listen to the change in methodology that they presented to you very subtly. White men were the most likely to use a firearm to die by suicide, especially among the elderly. Firearm suicide rates were the highest among white non-Hispanic men between the ages of 80 and 84 at a rate of around 46 deaths per 100,000 people in 2021. 46 per 100,000. That's the standard metric that everyone uses, per 100,000. They change it up in this next sentence for some reason. Meanwhile, non-Hispanic black men in their early 20s were the most likely to be killed by a firearm in a homicide at nearly 22 times the rate of white men of the same age. Now, why would you change that from the 100,000 metric that you used in the previous sentence to make it a discrepancy of 20 times X another race? Why would you do that? Don't know. But let's go down to the AP and show you the exact same data and present it in a slightly different way. The highest homicide gun death rates continue to be in young black men at 142 per 100,000 in their early 20s. So young black men is what this study is saying. The highest gun suicide death rates are in white men in their early 80s at 45 per 100,000, the researcher said. So suicides are in the early 80s to 90s, 45 out of 100,000, and predominantly white males. Wait until I show you the actual heat maps that they made and they referenced, but conveniently didn't put in any of the articles. Here's the conclusion and relevance from the actual report, which is linked. This study found marked disparities in firearm fatality rates by demographic group, which increased over the past decade. These findings suggest that public health approaches to reduce firearm violence should consider underlying demographic and geographic trends and differences by intent. What I'm about to show you is the difference between metropolitan and rural, homicide and suicide, and wait until I show you the trends, because if this was truly about guns in our population and passing these blessings on to the next generation or not passing them on, it would show an equal distribution across all genders, all races, and everything. But that's not what the data is showing. Therefore, it's easy to conclude it's not the guns, it's a societal thing. All right, let's get into this. Like I said, disclaimer again, this is just raw data. Heat maps of age and year-specific firearm homicide fatality rates. Males dominate the spectrum. Females aren't really on there. Okay, that makes sense. That's something that we've known. White, non-Hispanic, black, non-Hispanic, and Hispanic. In this graph, in this 30-year spectrum, you can see that African Americans are dominating in the 20 to 30 age group for homicides, only according to the study. Again, this isn't a racial thing. This is just data. If this was about guns across the board and population and more guns equaled more death, then you would see an equal distribution on this heat map from white to black to Hispanic. But you don't. There's an outlier. There's got to be a reason. I'm not here to address that, but what I'm saying is the problem is not guns. It's not race either. Not one particular race is predispositioned to be more violent. That's not the case at all. Something is going on, but it's not the guns. Again, I'm not going to touch the other thing. Male versus male, break them down by race. Non-Hispanic, black, and Hispanic. As you can see, again, the African American population is showing in homicides. When I go to the other side here on suicide, it completely inverses. Here we go. Let's keep going. Here you go. Females, white, black, Hispanic. Again, there's a higher proportion in the African American demographic. If, again, it was guns, it would be equal. It is not. Now I'm going to show you metropolitan versus rural. Metropolitan is dominating in homicides across the board versus rural. Again, suicides is going to flip this on its head. Let me show you the actual suicide rates here, because now we're going to go the opposite direction. Heat maps of age and year-specific firearms by suicide fatality rates. Males dominate the spectrum. That's, again, known conversation. We know that. White, black, Hispanic. The white population in the upper ages is dominating the suicide rate. According to this study. Again, it doesn't mean that one is worse than the other or anything beyond the fact that this is just what's being represented in the data. If we wanted to talk about solving the gun violence problem in the United States, we would address the parts that need attention. We wouldn't just say guns are the problem, it's that simple. Again, it would be equally distributed if that was the case. Now let me show you a little bit more, because this is also staggering. Male white, male black, male Hispanic. White males are dominating in the suicide rates across the board. They're followed by Hispanics, which is then followed by African Americans. This is something that is tremendously impactful if we just talk about what the actual issues are here versus it's a gun problem. Go over to females, you see the exact same thing. On the white spectrum, you've got a higher proportion that is disproportionately recognized in an outlier versus black and Hispanic. These problems are not gun related, they are societal. Now I'm going to show you the suicide rates for proportion of area. Metropolitan, much lower. Rural, much higher. As you can see, the data that the articles from AP, The Hill, they didn't dive into too deeply, is the main issues that we have in this country are not guns themselves. They are not across the entire population, because the simple equation is, and you can't get past it, if guns were the problem, you would see an equal proportion across the board of the incidents that we're talking about, but you're not. Depending on which way you look at it, whether you're looking at homicides or suicides, certain demographics are showing as outliers, and there's got to be a reason, and it's not guns. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know if I landed that plane correctly, and I will see you on the next video. I'm Braden. See you later.